Hello, hello, Sagittarius. Brief random note that you probably will not care about. I just realized that I used a green candle for you guys, and I've been trying to do corresponding colors to the elements themselves. So part of me feels like you guys are actually heading into a very grounded period of your life. I actually feel like you're exhibiting more earth energy than you are anything else. So for some of you, this could be committing further to things. Maybe you're more focused on creating solid foundations within your life or settling down, so to speak, in particular ways, which is, I don't want to say it's foreign for you, but it's not exactly something that um, I don't want to say like brings you joy, but I feel like for the most part, you love exploring. You're very explorative. You're very open minded. I feel like you're usually moving around quite a bit. So something about this feels very solid and stable. That's just going to be my first piece, though. Let me get into my other stuff really quick, and I'll make sure to add a timestamp for when the reading starts. If you would like to bypass this, I recommend you don't, though, because it is important. I just like to put this out there when I'm reading stuff for the signs. I'm actually approaching it for the Sagittarius rising individual. If you still find that this resonates with any other placement in your chart that you're watching for, whether it's Sun, Moon, um, Venus, Mars, whatever, that's fine. I love that. Same goes for cross watchers. Another thing I like to go ahead and put out there is that this is a collective energy. Excuse me. This is a collective energy. Lots of different people will be watching this. Some of it might resonate with you. None of it might resonate with you, right? You can go watch another reading or choose to, check in with another reader. That's fine. If it is 100% your thing, I love that too. Just don't, if anything here does not fit your situation and you're not 100% sure about the information, don't take it and bring it into your situation on a personal level and have it manifest in that way. I don't want that for anybody. So just let's go ahead and put that out there. Now, with that being said, I'll show you how I'm going to do things. I love to start off with these as kind of like the title of the story. It gives me this overall idea of maybe what we're looking at. This is going to be the meat and potatoes, and this is going to be the clarifiers, so maybe an expansion on the characters or the backstory. So with that being said, let's get started. What is going on for Sagittarius right now? Another note, this is also a timeless energy, so whenever you find this, it may resonate for what's going on in your life at that time. I am recording this in September of 2023. Yeah, you're definitely getting very grounded. Some of you might be focusing a lot on family, higher education, connecting to things or foundations that have been very long standing, so it has a lot of stability in it. Some of you also may be making particular announcements around this time. I just feel like you're upgrading from a particular stance or position, or maybe who you once were is now changing. And I do think there's like this emotional undercurrent attached to what's happening. So maybe some of this does feel foreign to you, which could feel exciting. But I think overall, the transition you're making is a very good one. I actually think it's going to end up opening up particular things for you. I think that it could actually have a level of healing attached to it for you. And honestly, it might even bring you a lot of wealth into your life, whether that is through other people, um, whatever agreement this is, or we'll say like union or whatever you're grounding yourself in, I think actually is going to help you build your own personal legacy in some way. Let's get into it. Yeah, it's a big thing, big event. Some of you might be moving or thinking about it. You're definitely making big moves in your life if you're not physically moving. You're making huge changes. Some of you definitely might be going back to school or getting some sort of higher level of education in something. That's not a bad, by the way. This is just I'm like, this is very interesting reading. This is a very good reading, I think. I get very good feelings off of this. Okay. So yeah, I think a lot of you are exhibiting very earthy energy right now. Even though there's heavy water elements here, quite a bit of air, fire. There's really only like one earth card here, but it's in the top of your reading. It's in your conscious mind. I feel like it's the thing you're most focused on. I think everything else is this more of this undercurrent that's taking place for you. But there's a significant change that's occurring in your life right now. I do think the challenge here is that there's a lot of emotions tied to it. Once again, maybe there is some discomfort here. Maybe there is this kind of like, oh, I don't know, like, is this going to work? Or like, there's something about this that feels, once again, foreign. I really want to hesitate on using the word uncomfortable. I really, really do. I think maybe the only uncomfortable part about it is that it maybe it's causing a conversation to happen within yourself, or maybe it's causing a conversation to happen in your environment outside of you. So maybe this could be the way people are looking at you, like maybe they're confused by it or they don't know what to make of it. So that's interesting to note. But yeah, I feel like there's either a significant move happening here. Some of you might be moving states, you might be moving countries. For others of you, I think that these are decisions about what you're wanting to do next, or how you're wanting to expand out into the world, or how you're going to step out into the world. If there are those of you who are planning on getting married, part of this feels kind of, it's not that people don't know about it, but I feel like there's something about it that feels a little more low key. You already have to be like engaged or talking about it though. It's a very select few of you, but justice is here with the Four of Wands. But it seems like in your subconscious mind, you're thinking about how maybe these decisions that you've made, maybe the things that have occurred in your life, maybe the things that you've been thinking about for some time or debating on, I think you're looking at them and you're kind of understanding that these next steps that you're taking, or maybe these things that have been initiated into your life, are going to be causing a significant part of your life to come to a close. And with that, it's kind of like saying goodbye to a part of yourself, or saying goodbye to a time period, or a place. But it feels like you're very focused on this. I mean, with the Eight of Pentacles in the forefront of your mind, you're really focused on getting something right this time. I think that you've put a lot of effort into things in your life in the past, and maybe they didn't pan out the way that you wanted them to. Or maybe there's something that you've tried to do over and over and over again, and it just never has stuck. And I feel like whatever's happening right now has the opportunity to stick. It has the opportunity to be different because you kind of have found this groove, or we'll say whatever's been changing inside of you is really preparing you for this in a different way. And in the near future, I do think there's this level of quietness with you. Maybe it has to do with kind of being a little more low key or under wraps, or maybe it's not communicating as much. I think there's a part of you that's trying to be very observant about everything that's taking place, because I do think some of this has a question mark attached. And once again, maybe that's where this emotional uncertainty is coming from. So I feel like you're trying to navigate a part of this with a bit more of like an intuitive insight, or gathering information on your own terms, on your own time, and allowing yourself to sit with it without necessarily discussing it with anybody else. And a part of me does feel like that's appropriate. I do feel like on an emotional level, because so much of what's happening will pretty much change your entire life, I think the awareness of that is part of the connecting factor to the quietness. And I think there's a part of you that understands that what you're about to do is, or has the potential to be, challenged by people outside of you. I'm not saying that people are against this entirely, but I think there's a part of you that feels like in the past, maybe other people were a part of your decision-making process. Maybe you were taking other people's opinions or perspectives into account. And I think right now this is just about you. Once again, could involve other people, but I think this is about you. I think this is about what you want. I think this is about how you have changed. I think this is about the things that you have been working towards or on in your life. And sure, with that being said, maybe there are things outside of you that are being let go of, because in your environment you have the Ten of Swords. So it feels like there are these significant endings that are taking place, and these things in your life that are wrapping up. And if those are things that have been beyond your control and that have potentially caused you pain, I really want you to understand that with the World card as your signifying card right now, this had to go. Whether it's a part of yourself, or it's a place, or it's people, it is a part of this process right now, because where you're going is a completely new phase of your life. It's a new chapter. It's a new level. When we have the World card, it is a card that is essentially a graduation of our own soul. We've gone through the entire journey of the Fool to the World. And in that journey, we are developing as individuals. We are having experiences with different types of people, with different, lessons that are helping us evolve and change and understand ourselves better, and maybe what our purpose is in this world, or at least in that situation. But what we take from it and where we advance to next, it continues this evolutionary process. And I just want you to know that that's a part of this. Doesn't mean that you can't have feelings about it. I mean, obviously, with the moon showing up twice, you absolutely deserve to have feelings about it. Everybody does. Like, grief is its own process. But if this is people outside of you who are experiencing this as a result of decisions or choices that are being made on your end, maybe that's also why there's this silence here. Maybe that's also why there's this need to internally break this down for yourself, internally figure this out for yourself, um, use this information to get to the core of something, because it's not, you can't have this helping you make this decision, whether that's a person, a place, an experience. And in your hopes and fears, I think there's this simultaneous thing going on where I think you're hopeful for maybe achieving some of the things that you've wanted for a very long time in your life, maybe even since you were young. Like, maybe you had these dreams that were attached to this. I think you're still hopeful for being able to manifest that dream. Or maybe you're hopeful for a supportive community. Maybe you're hopeful for family, children. I mean, this is a card that's often connected to children, but I think this is more about seeking connection that feels similar in the way that the innocence that children share with each other. Don't get me wrong, I know kids can just, they're kids, but it's that supportive, pure awareness of another person or other people, right? There's almost this like lack of judgment attached in this card. We see things in a much more pure state. And I think there's a part of you that's hopeful for that in your next chapter, that wherever you're going, you want there to be this level of support or recognition or people in your life. And I think you're capable of achieving that, but I just feel like, in part of this, I feel like this has just been a very long, tough road. Some of you may be fearful that that isn't going to be there. Some of you may be fearful that you won't find that. And because maybe there are parts of that already have existed in your life. For some of you, this could even feel like a coming of age story. I can't remember who else got that, but that is kind of how this feels too. It feels like an interesting coming of age story. You don't have to be very young making a transition for this to apply, but it can feel the same. Like the essence of it can feel the same. Because in the outcome, we have the Four of Wands, the Death card, and the Knight of Swords. And it feels like, for some of you, I really do think some of this is outside of your control. For those of you, please do not panic when I say this, but for those of you who are aware, if there is a loss that you have had in your life, like if this is attached to the loss of a loved one, the transition of a loved one, and it was something that was sudden or unexpected, I don't know if this is factoring into your decision or if this has had this like domino effect that has kind of caused all of this to happen inside of you. But I feel like there's either something that's going to be spurring all of this unexpectedly or suddenly, or I feel as if the moment that you want to make this transition, somebody might step in and either have something to say about it or want to prevent it from happening. And I don't want you to allow that. I feel like I have to put this down here because it feels like and I'll be damned if this doesn't happen often. It feels like the moment that you make a decision to do something for yourself, it's like that one thing that you might have waited forever on finally wants to show up. And you're almost like, now? You waited until now? That's also, there's something here about something like that. So we'll clarify it, obviously. I'm going to kind of put these back over here. But don't allow somebody to stop you from what you're doing. I feel like I need to be very clear on that. Very, very clear on that. I mean, for some of you, this transition also might be happening a lot sooner than you expected. Like if you're moving, or if you're planning on transitioning out of something, it actually might come a lot sooner than you anticipate because it's like something that comes in really fast that makes this happen. But let's clarify it, shall we? Interesting. Man, I don't know what it is tonight, but I just did Scorpio's reading and I cried a couple of times in that reading because it was such a beautiful reading. Kind of feel like I'm going to cry in this one too now that I'm laying the clarifiers down because there is something like very deep that's going on here. And I was laughing with Scorpio because I was like, dude, I was so aggro, and all the other readings are like they got me so fired up. And I feel like between you and Scorpio, it's just so emotional. And maybe it's the level of awareness in the readings for you guys that is so emotional. It's because of the level of awareness that's attached. Yeah, for a lot of you, I mean, these are significant transitions. These are moving, funeral, wedding. Because in your environment card, you have the Four of Wands here too with the Ten of Swords. So it could be like the end of a living situation. It could be the end of being single and, settling down. It could be somebody transitioning. But I'll be damned. Okay. Um, this also could involve like either a significant Cancer placement or once again, it could involve the home. Cancer rules the fourth house. Part of me feels like there is some confusion within this right now. Like, even though you can see it, I think that's the weird thing about this. You can see it. I think you see things very clearly right now. I think you see the transition. I think you know what the transition is. I think the only unclear part is maybe the moving parts. Like maybe it's what you're going to do or how you're going to do it. Because the Prince of Swords is here and there's something that feels confusing about it, or there's something that feels like the mind isn't able to fully grasp all of the things yet. I mean, emotionally, there does feel like there's this drive attached to this, like it. And maybe your emotions are a driving force right now. Maybe your emotions are a very big part of this. Maybe how you feel is what is taking the wheel in a lot of this, because we also have the Eight of Cups with the Two of Wands, and the Sun in reverse with the Two of Swords. So there is this interesting level of like whatever is going on right now or whatever has been going on. It just feels like um, either this stark awareness of like not being happy or fulfilled, or knowing you're needing to emotionally disconnect for a while in order to work through this and maybe get some significant details hammered out. Because there is something about having like a very, very, very stone cold like face on in some way. Because it also feels like there's this question around, um, in these transitions, if you're having to let go of things that have been a part of your life for a long time, um, it's almost like the question of will they remain? And like, is the new chapter you're moving into, is it going to have this like same experience of accumulating just to lose? Because you guys feel so disconnected right now. Which is why I think I want to keep repeating the fact that I think this is a very deep reading. Because I think whatever it's engaging with you on such a soul level. Like I almost feel like I want to say, if you feel compelled to watch Scorpio's reading, go for it. But I feel like if you are going to do that, I want to say, I think what Scorpio is going through now, where they're at right now, I think it's almost like your story is very similar to the precursor of that experience for them. Like you're going through what they had to go through almost before they reached the period that they're in right now. Because it feels like a similar, almost kind of like an existential crisis, almost like a dark night of the soul kind of thing, but not at the same time. That's what's so weird about this. Some of this feels oddly disassociative too. And maybe you're just doing that to deal, right? Like maybe you're just doing it to survive, to focus. Like there's only so much I think your brain can handle right now. There's only so much you can focus on right now because I think your mind is swimming with possibilities, questions, details, wondering how you're going to do something, um, kind of struggling with this weird emotional undercurrent of what you're leaving behind and maybe being a little scared of that because maybe this territory that you're walking into is completely new. You haven't done it before, you haven't engaged with it before, and if you have done it before, it's not the same type of place, or you're not in the same place that you were in when you made that decision. So there's this odd thing of being both extremely conscious and like just not wanting to be at the same time. It's very strange. Maybe you wax and wane between that like mental pattern. Maybe sometimes you're in this very deeply, and then other times you're like, okay, I have to cut my brain off for a minute in order to just function on what it is that I need to absolutely do at this moment in time. But there's definitely a barrier. Like you're not communicating as much as you need to be. I think you're intaking more things than anything. Um, Information, uh, whether that's studying things, people's words, thoughts that you have, whether it's you actually getting educated on something. You're just thinking about things and you're keeping them to yourself. Because for some of you, I feel like where you've been, it kind of feels like you've just been waiting on stuff to happen for forever. And I think the whole thing is like the justice that you receive in the situation, even though this isn't the far reaching outcome, the justice that you'll receive in this situation is from you stepping outside of it. Like it's like step outside of where you've been, right? Let's step outside of where we've been here. Maybe I should do it like this. We need to step outside of where we've been in order to like see what's out there, see the truth. Are the thoughts and feelings we have about ourselves or about life or about other people true? Is there something more out there? That's how this feels. Is what I'm wanting to go toward um, as scary as I think it is? I'm going to be honest, in some odd ways, like I'm looking at the magician over here with the Knight of Swords. Do I still think that that's like something coming towards you the minute that you choose to like totally let it go? Or like when you make this decision and it's time to go, something comes rushing in that's like wanting you to change your mind and you're like, are you fucking serious? Why is this happening now? I do think a part of that, whatever that is like self serving. But I also think another way I can translate this is it's almost like the moment you allow yourself to let go of this and move into new territory, this whole legacy thing that's going on up here and the idea of establishing this like firm foundation or this period of wealth, it's like this wealth comes to you in this experience. And me stepping to the side a little bit to return to this point of conversation earlier. If those of you, when you're seeing this, are transitioning through a loss, I feel like there's a lot of moving parts in that situation that will bring up well, maybe conversation around community, conversation around family, but maybe something will be cultivated, created, or received out of it. So I almost want to remind you to make sure that you're not engaging with those people, because I feel like there's something about like wealth within community, which to me equates support. Um, Assistance, the things that you need to feel solid, or maybe even for you to help others feel solid. I also feel like a lot is going to be happening at once. Like it almost feels like the transition happens, and something else happens, and then something else happens, and it's like boom, boom, boom. Like these things just roll in. I think they're helpful things. I want to be very clear about that. It just feels odd. In some ways, I almost want to say that phrase, don't quit before the miracle. It's kind of what it reminds me of. And not in a literal sense, but it also reminds me of don't remember what this is from, or if it's just something that I feel like is like an amalgamation of things I've heard over time. But it's like thinking about the guy who like loses his partner, either that partner leaving them or whatever, um, loses their parents, loses their job, loses everything, and then on his last dime wins the lottery, or on his last dime bumps into someone that they haven't seen in forever who somehow has ties to this, that, or the other, that ends up helping them out with this whole new life or this whole new experience, whether that's making the connections or it's this bridge. There's this weird bridge. Maybe that's why the intuitive thing is happening over here. Maybe that's why there's this need to be connected to this energy of the tower and the high priestess, because the high priestess is the bridge. And I feel like it's like you got to get this conduit, your conduit, in check in order to receive the information that you need. Because maybe there's a part of you that's kind of closed off to this information right now. Maybe that's why you feel the uncertainty. Maybe that's why there's a part of you that keeps waxing and waning between um, this like almost either hyper fixated, hyper focused energy, or just kind of being totally zoned out. But I do want to let you know that where you are headed is better than where you have been. I don't know who else I said that for, and it may be relevant to that reading, but where you are going is better than where you have been. Not saying that even where you've been has been all that bad, but it's just the next step. It's like the next step in your life. It's the next chapter in your life that is necessary. And you are going to grow so much in that chapter. You earn this, you earn the world. That is why she is holding those batons and she is wrapped in that purple sash. And kind of in this thing where she's, displayed for the entire cosmos to see. It's because she earned it. She earned that moment. I don't know why I feel like I need to pull a card for this. We're going to pull a card just to kind of maybe tie this together. I just feel really good about this. Like I just feel that, wherever you're headed right now, or whatever is on the other side of this, is so much better than you can imagine. We've got good things come in threes. That's really funny because it makes me want to think back to where I was like, boom, boom, boom. 3. The moment you make the decision, boom, boom, boom. It does. It feels like something is happening here. So I feel like whenever you go through this transition, this is what's on the other. Like, I feel like there's 3 very specific things that are going to occur on the other side of this transition. And good company. I'm telling you, I really do think with the 6 of Cups energy, I think what you're wanting is coming into your life. It could even already be a part of your life, and maybe you're just not as connected to it in the moment because this is having to kind of get wrapped up and cleared out. But I feel like, once again, where you're headed is better than where you've been. I think the good things that are coming to you in your life are deserved. I think part of it seriously makes me feel like it's actually like actively being manifested. I think it's something you put out a long time ago. And maybe there's that part of you that's just cracking up because you're like, wow, why would it come? Why would it wait to come the moment that I actually like let go of everything, or the moment that I close the chapter in my life in such a big way? Well, because you needed to make that amount of room. Like, you needed to make that amount of room to receive it. I know it sounds cheesy and it sounds fucking woo-woo or whatever, but it's so true. I regularly go through my things and either donate or give away or let other people pick and choose what they want out of it just to make space in my life. When I know that there's things in my life that are taking up too much space, especially if I don't even have, a connection with it anymore, right? Like, it's not like I'm utilizing its energy. So its energy is just compiling in my space. Same thing with, I don't want to say with people, but I feel like it's really important for us to recognize the way in which we choose to connect with people and why. And how are we navigating that connection, and what is it doing for us? And what are we doing for them? So, Sag, I guess I'm just like really starting to do longer readings the further I get into them this week. Thanks for sticking with me if you have. I hope this was helpful for you. I said it for Scorpio, and I'm going to say it for you guys too. I'm really proud of you. Whatever this is, I'm really proud of you. It's a rough. I get it. It's a rough transition. It really is. But I also think that you're going to be really proud of yourself on the other side of it too. Like, part of me actually feels like there is this side of you that knows you're fully capable of whatever this is. I think you're a little scared, but I know you're fully capable. And I think like I said, there's a part of you that knows that too, and you feel it. So Love you, Sag. Um, Make sure to like or subscribe, leave a comment below if it resonated with you, and I will see you guys next time.